In this gospel passage, the Pharisees confronted Jesus about the issue of divorce. And they said, "Is it lawful for a husband to divorce his wife?" During that time, most Jews believe in the permanence of marriage. Majority of the Jews believe in the permanence of marriage. But the problem is, in the Old Testament, Moses permitted, allowed, decreed divorce. You can check that in Deuteronomy 24, verses 1 to 4. Moses allowed divorce. Take note, Moses is equivalent to the law. Pag sinabing the law and the prophets, it's Moses and the prophets. Pag sinabing Moses and Elijah, Elijah represents the prophets, so it's Moses and Elijah, it's the law and the prophets. And what guides the life of the Jews are the laws and the prophets. So, merong batas na inisyu si Moises tungkol sa divorce. Pinayagan ni Moises ang divorce. And anong basis ng pagdi-divorce? Anong basis? Let's read Deuteronomy 24, verse 1. Sabi doon, when a man takes a wife and marries her, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some indecency. Other translation is, he has found something objectionable in her, he writes a bill of divorce. So isusulat lang certificate ng divorce. Pag isinabit niya sa babae, divorce na sila. Ganun lang, yung lalaki. No? So anong basis ng pagdi-divorce ng lalaki laban sa kanyang misis? If he finds something indecent or something objectionable in the wife. Now, kaya nagdedebate yung mga Hudyo, lalo yung mga Jewish scholars, ay paano i-interpret yung something indecent or something objectionable sa babae, sa wife? How do you define something objectionable in the woman so that you can write a decree, a certificate of divorce against your wife? There were two major positions. The first position was the one espoused by Rabbi Shammai. Hindi ho Shomai, Shammai, no? Ang position ni Rabbi Shammai is a more strict interpretation. Sa kanya, ang something objectionable refers to adultery. Yun lang. So kung yung misis ay nag-commit ng adultery, then the husband is warranted to issue divorce against that wife. So yun lang ang something objectionable. But merong second position. This one is the position of Rabbi Hillel. And this position is a more liberal view. Para kay Rabbi Hillel, something objectionable could mean practically almost everything. Grounds for divorce can include the following. Kung yung misis ay nasunog ang pagluto, something objectionable yan. Kung yung misis hindi marunong magluto at pangit ang pagluto, pwedeng maging grounds for divorce. Kay Rabbi Hillel, ha? Kung yung misis ay sinisiraan ng pamilya ng kanyang asawang lalaki, pwedeng maging grounds for divorce. Kung yung misis ay pag sa publiko naglalakad ng malandi, pwedeng maging grounds for divorce for a husband that is something objectionable. Kung yung misis ay bungangera at marites, pwede ring maging grounds for divorce. Rabbi Hillel, very liberal position. Very liberal position, so that kung yung husband, pwede niya maging dahilan if he no longer fancies his wife and finds another woman whom she likes, he can issue a divorce. For the simple reason na hindi ko na gusto yung misis ko eh. Mas gusto ko na isang babae, then I can file for divorce. That's the liberal position. So pinag-aawayan, what is something objectionable? Two positions. The strict position, only adultery, and the second position, basically, anything can be used by a man against his wife. Sadly, this liberal position became popular during that time, so that divorce was easy for men to obtain, even for the most trivial reasons. Pero kasama ho sa issue ng divorce ay meron pang isang issue. And this issue ay relates to the fact that women have a low status in the Jewish society. Mababa ang tingin nila sa mga kababaihan. Women had no legal rights and they were at the mercy of their husbands. Nung unang panahon ho, second-class citizen kayo. In fact, there was some scholar who said, the existence of a woman depends on the existence of a man. So kaya kayo mga kababaihan noon, hindi kayo pwedeng umiral kung wala kayong lalaki sa buhay. Payag kayo niyan? Ha? Sabi ng isang babae, ay gusto ko yung father, meron akong lalaki sa buhay. Kung napansin nyo ho, yung in fact, ang trato ng mga kalalakihan sa mga babae noon ay one of their properties. Isa lang kayo sa ari-arian ng mga kalalakihan. Pag tinanong isang mama, anong mga ari-arian mo? Meron akong lupain, meron akong ubasan, meron akong pera, meron akong baka, meron akong kambing, at meron akong misis. Mga misis, kahanay kayo ng kambing. Second-class citizen? Second-class citizen kayo. Okay. So that a man could divorce his wife on almost any ground. Second-class citizen eh. But a woman had few reasons to seek a divorce. In fact, yung batas ni Moises, ang makakapag-issue lang ng divorce yung lalaki, yung babae hindi. Kasi second-class citizen. Second-class citizen. A woman can divorce, but there are very, very few reasons for a woman to be able to divorce her husband. Pero ang lalaki, dahil second-class citizen na kababaihan, any reason with the liberal view of Rabbi Hillel can be used against his wife to file for a divorce. Divorce was largely a privilege for men, leaving women very vulnerable and insecure in this marriage. Unfair arrangement. Women are not protected in this kind of marriage. And even in the divorce law of Moses, nasa disadvantaged position ang mga kababaihan, reflecting the second-class treatment of the Jewish society against women at the time. So when Jesus opposed divorce, he was also fighting for the status of women. How? He brought marriage back to its original design, original intention. Sabi niya, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Nung in-emphasize si Jesus that they become one flesh, that means this one flesh means a permanent, mutual relationship where husband and wife share the same purpose, share the same life, share the same dignity, share the same status, share the same respect for each other. So when a man says he wants to honor his flesh, or he wants to honor himself, it means honoring his wife as well. Because his flesh is connected now with the flesh, with the person of his wife. And they are of equal footing. They are equal in their dignity. It means honoring his wife and not disrespecting her by divorcing her for the most trivial of reasons, because man and woman are equal in dignity in this oneness, one flesh of marriage. Nakakatuwa ho, ito sa ating first reading ay tungkol sa creation. Paano ba, bakit in-include ang reading na yan? Paano ba ginawa yung babae sa story ng creation? Ito, story ng creation, sabi dito, ang babae ay hinugot mula sa tadyang ni Adan. No? Hinugot mula sa tadyang ni Adan. Kaya ang babae at lalaki ay laman sa laman, buto sa buto, galing sa laman at buto ni Adan. Sabi ni isang paring, narinig ko minsan nag-homily dito, sabi niya, bakit sa tadyang ni Adan kinuha yung babae? Bakit hindi sa paa? Bakit hindi sa kamay? Bakit hindi sa ulo? And then the priest gave a quite interesting explanation. Sabi niya, hindi sa paa galing sapagkat ang babae ay hindi dapat inaapak-apakan. Hindi rin galing sa ulo, ang ulo ay simbolo ng pamumuno. Hindi galing sa ulo sapagkat ang babae, she's not supposed to be ruled or overpowered by men. Ang tadyang din, ang ribs, ay malapit sa puso sapagkat ang babae ay dapat na minamahal. Ang tadyang ay malapit sa balikat. Ibig sabihin, ang babae ay responsibilidad ng asawa at responsibilidad ng lalaki na bigyang proteksyon at pagmamahal ang kanyang misis. She is taken from the side of Adam so that woman and man will walk side by side equally. Walang nauuna, walang nahuhuli. A woman is a companion, a partner, an equal, and not a slave you whimsically play with. So this gospel passage is not just about the oneness and sanctity of marriage. It is also about Jesus valuing and respecting women. Jesus emphasizes that women are to be loved, protected, and treated with equal dignity in any marital relationship. Amen? Palakpakan natin ang mga kababaihan. At palakpakan natin ang Panginoon na nagmamahal sa mga kababaihan.